We're live without the locomotive. Everyone can tune out now.
Or there's a new locomotive in town.
Good. That's right. The only problem's going to be you won't have a job at City Hall. Keep talking.
You know, I'm sure I could find something on Craigslist.
There's like a search chief of
that
staff.
match my skills.
Chief of staff.
That match my skill set.
Is anyone looking for a chief of staff?
There's things on Craigslist that perfectly match what I'm
Such
very
as
good at.
Prognosticator of football.
I haven't looked. There you go. That's one thing
Football
for sure.
Dealing with Tom McDermott and his moods.
Oh. Well,
That's-
we're not talking about that on the podcast. No, then I won't have a job.
Welcome to Phil Taillon to coming on.
Hey, good
thanks for coming
morning.
on. You know, Dunkin' Donuts isn't one of our sponsors, Phil. That's why we have these left of center coffee mugs. Is yours? What's in yours? Wait,
Oh no, I don't. I don't know what you guys are drinking. This is pure
sugar.
cocoa beans.
No, it's.
You know what I
If
mean?
anybody knows Phil, they know this. There is about 1/8 of coffee. The rest will be cream and sugar.
100%.
You're forgetting the pumpkin spice.
Did they still do that in January?
Oh, yes.
That's not just a fall
They
thing.
do it until they run out, Kevin. And apparently, I'm one of the few people that like pumpkin spice in my coffee because
Extra.
They're still serving it to me.
Could I have double pumpkin spice with that?
I have not
Hey,
asked for that yet.
Bad news. I just searched chief of staff on Craigslist. It's a
cabinet came up.
It's a vintage antique mid-century bookcase.
There's 7 of them, and they're all like
John,
previous President
That's a very
Trump's
nice
chief of
bookcase.
staff.
When I think of Phil, I think of a mid-century bookcase,
An old
empty,
wooden ship.
also with no books on it. Well, welcome to Left to Center with episode 3 of season 2. Our emoji of the day is a peacock, apparently, Lindsay.
Because Phil is fancy. He walked in and I nearly choked on his cologne cloud.
Now that says something.
There is a cologne
There you go.
statue
You know, Lindsay's the young generation. That's what you're telling him.
You know what she's not going to tell
I
you right
smell
after
like
that,
bad
Kevin?
cologne.
She said, "Do you know what they normally smell like?" She goes, "I'm used to the exact opposite of a cologne."
Well, you know,
cloud."
sometimes
why
cologne's
it was
used
so obvious to me.
mask the alcohol, like the leftover
my.
alcohol from the night before.
I walked in. She's like, "Wow, somebody showered this morning. This is strange.
Finally.
I don't know what to do."
You have a tie on?
Exactly.
Is that Drakkar?
Correct,
Car
Noir.
Listen, this is the most
Can I
expensive.
find my bottle from 83?
This is the most expensive cologne that Walgreens sells. So I want you to just pipe down there, Jimmy.
And let's
The
not.
kind that's behind that locked box. You have to like, get an
Yeah,
attendant
exactly.
to you.
Did you have
Right.
when you worked at Walgreens? Did you have the key to that cologne box, Phil?
I didn't. The cosmeticians there
What? Excuse me.
were very tough, man. You
What
not
is
a
that
word.
called? Isn't that cosmetologist?
Yeah, cosmic.
whatever it is.
Cosmetician?
Cosmetician.
That was like cosmetologist and magician mixed.
Listen, you guys are, you're defaming Walgreens right now. I think be careful here,
They're
okay?
not trained cosmetologists.
They have great staff at
Cosmeticians.
Walgreens. I mean,
That I agree.
I worked there for, I think, about 5 years.
I appreciate the Walgreens staff, but I just don't know if they are cosmeticians. Do cosmeticians have a union? Do they rally? Do they riot? Do they storm the Capitol?
Were they there at DC?
They were dangerous at Walgreens. I'm telling you right now. You messed around in the cosmetics area with stuff they didn't want you, to be poking at and
You're
touching.
risking your job.
Cosmagic area.
You're
I
in
think you
trouble.
meant to say.
I said it's like cosmetologist and magician mixed.
But I feel like everything's behind a locked box. Like I went in for Visine the other day. It was locked. I had to like track down staff.
Well, they definitely do that with cough medicine now, right?
Well,
Because,
they do that
because
with
you can make
deodorant
meth out of
for
it.
some reason
Lindsay,
too.
That's a big.
you
theft.
can make meth, I think, right?
You can make.
Why did you ask Lindsay?
Yeah, sure. I know.
Right, Lindsay?
That was
Yeah,
strange.
well-
You turned right to her.
Well, she's the younger generation. Phil.
So I
Do
know
younger
how to make
generations
meth
make meth?
automatically. No, you need a Sudafed to make meth.
Oh
What?
well,
How do you know this?
Well, apparently, John, I turned to the right person.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
She's
I
like,
watch
it's a
TV
part mixture of Sudafed and baking soda.
and bleach.
And you're going to need 4
You
ball
gotta-
bearings.
You want to heat up those ball bearings to 180 degrees.
Before we get too far afield here, let's
How to
do
make
our,
meth, the
Let's
name
do
of the
our
episode.
intro to episode 3, season 2, and let's talk about the fact that we've got Phil Taillon on today. We also have Matt Reardon coming in after the 8 o'clock hour to talk about all things political and region and things like that. But also, we're going to get talking on some events of the last week. I think we all want to talk about that a little bit, and also just chit chat.
Can you
I guess we'll
introduce-
talk about meth and other things. Apparently,
Can you introduce Phil again? I missed the sound
Phil-
effect.
Phil Taillon.
Okay. You know what, guys? I mean-
And we'll probably ask you for your Super Bowl pick in a bit too, Phil. So
I'll be ready.
how about doing some? Lindsay, you want to do your do your thing, and then we'll get to Phil and
Sure
do some
thing.
sponsors.
See, nobody told me that my dad wasn't going to be here until like recently.
I find it interesting that you just aren't in touch with him except in the pod.
Yeah,
Like,
that's like.
Hi, Dad. It's
I don't
Tuesday.
live there
Hi, Dad.
anymore.
It's Friday.
I was like, "Where's my dad?" And
She
everyone
just told
knows
us
but me.
5 minutes ago that she was never invited to a family vacation.
Oh,
Basically.
wow.
That's an issue.
You're listening to Left of
We
Center.
still love you here, Linz.
Thank you.
Maybe that's why you changed your name.
Yeah, that's why I changed. My
You're
name.
like, I got a new family.
I got a new family.
don't
Do you
Yeah.
think
You
Tom's
guys-
watching right now?
No.
Yes.
You think so?
I
I'm
think so
saying yes.
too. Absolutely.
All right, you're listening
Show
to
up in
Left
the
of
comments,
Center.
Mr. Locomotive.
Quiet. Okay, you're listening to Left of Center, where we cover everything from politics to important events of the day in the Midwest and the nation, all while having way too much fun while doing it. If you can't get enough of us, follow us on Facebook at Left of Center Podcast or on Twitter at LockPod, LOCPOD. And if you can't listen in live, download our episodes from the Apple Podcast or Spotify app and enjoy our show at a crystal clear 712 kilohertz per second. Just search Left of Center and look for our red and blue logo. Also, on the Spotify and Apple Podcast app, don't forget to rate and subscribe, as well as if you want to buy ad space. Go ahead and contact us on leftofcenterpod@gmail.com, and we can get that started for you. It is not that expensive, I promise.
Did you say to share the stream too?
Yeah, subscribe and
Share.
Share the stream.
Oh,
Yeah.
I-
Everybody right now just click share
Everybody
while you
share.
watch.
Not everybody's live on
What do you mean?
on Facebook these days. So
Well, I know that Marinko is because
Yes.
he's commenting right now.
we
so.
continue to bring you this show live and on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, which still carries our podcast, John. So that's a good thing. We haven't been
Yes.
kicked off of Apple
Well,
or Spotify yet.
once we name this episode today, how to make meth, I think we're getting kicked off.
How to make meth.
No, but really, can't you do like a watch party on Facebook? Can't everybody like click like, hey, I'm watching
Sure.
this, watch it with me?
Yeah, if
Do
they're-
that. If
that's
you
for
see
super
an option
fans.
there,
Super
do
fans
it.
only.
Okay.
You can have your own chat box, and you don't have to deal with the regular chat.
Hit it,
nice.
Phil.
Are we doing? Do we
Yes, you are.
right
read
off the bat.
Read the sponsors.
Oh,
yes.
here we go.
This
Okay.
is how the show goes. If you would listen once in a while.
I mean, every once in a while I tune in for sure.
Amateurs.
When Jimmy and I are on, I watch that show over and over again afterwards.
I think we deleted that episode from Apple Podcasts.
because it was the highest
Cachet
rated
issue.
and the
Oh,
most.
it's-
Oh, cachet! Wow.
Cache.
Wow.
Cache.
All right. Latitude Commercial is a full-service commercial real estate brokerage and property management firm specializing in northern Indiana and the Chicago suburbs. Local tenants to national developers have benefited from Latitude's experience in the commercial real estate market. When you select Latitude Commercial, you get Chicagoland expertise with worldwide marketing and networking ability. Whether you are a developer looking to sell, a tenant looking to expand, an investor looking to purchase, or an owner in need of property management services, Latitude can help. Contact Latitude at 219-864-0200 or at latitudeco.com so they can get to work for you.
0200.
It's almost like Empire Carpeting, or what was that? What was that commercial?
They don't sponsor us. Don't give them any
Okay,
plug.
sorry.
That's,
Are they
how
still
this works. That's
around?
how this
They're
works.
still there.
I think that guy passed away. Rest in peace.
2-300. That's enough. They didn't pay.
But if I'm Aaron, don't you come up with a jingle for your phone number?
You didn't read it? You didn't read the jingle?
Oh, was I? You know what? It didn't have the notes
The
next
little
to
notes
each
that you're supposed
letter,
to
so I
sing?
know what key to sing them in.
We don't
True.
have a phone number anymore.
Don't forget True Barbecue. I wonder if they... No, we got rid of
We
our
got to
phone number.
start writing the ads in with notes.
Yes.
Like annotations.
Treble clef and
This
bass
is like
clef.
this is last
footnote
night, John,
annotations.
where Kevin is playing something for us on his computers. We're preparing for this, and we're like, "What is it in Braille?" Because we can't hear anything. So do we have to touch something to understand what you're?
That's
you're
why
doing?
we need a producer like John.
That's right.
To make things work.
Yes.
He brings it all together.
True Barbecue. You don't have to go to Chicago to find good food and a fine dining experience. True Barbecue in Munster has all of that and more. Stop by and take a look at their full menu, full of barbecue favorites with some new twists on old classics. Choose a drink from their extensive list of whiskey, like Kevin, or like my go-to, of Woodford Double Oak on the rocks, or stick with one of your favorites, like Mayor Tom's Vodka with a muddled lime. Located at 8940 Calumet Avenue in Munster, come and visit and enjoy True Barbecue.
Well, I know you didn't write that one, Kevin.
No.
When you're reading your name in the third person.
He's like Ron Burgundy. He'll read
switched.
anything in front of him.
I switched. I didn't know who was going to read it.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
By the way, Kevin, when I switched to your camera,
Yes.
I couldn't help but notice that wonderful sports coat. Tell
Thank
us
you.
about this.
Well,
Who are you wearing?
This is a Brooks Brothers coat, which don't get me started on Brooks Brothers. They're a victim of the pandemic.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it was
I
bad.
only know great things of Brooks Brothers.
I mean, no, I don't want to get sideways here, sidetrack, but
Sideways.
They closed all their American mills because of the
God.
pandemic. They filed bankruptcy. The Michigan Avenue store closed. The LaSalle Avenue store closed. Yeah, sad.
It's a tragedy.
It is. I mean, for an American clothier, yes, it's a tragedy. But
can go
hopefully
to
they'll
the-
bounce back.
I think
hope.
you meant clothagician.
Clothagician. I'm sorry. You're right. I did, John.
Well,
okay.
it's nice. It's probably worth more now because it's
Maybe. I'm just bummed I can't go find one right now on Michigan
First world
Avenue.
problems.
Kev, you could always
Yeah.
go to Men's Warehouse.
I could always
Phil's
go. I
wearing-
could always go to Men's Warehouse. You're right.
Yeah, you're not
Lance.
asking
I don't
me.
want to.
This is a Sears, aisle 6.
Walgreens.
And, Walgreens.
Sears exists
This is
anymore?
back when Walgreens used to sell suits. They don't do it anymore. They weren't successful at it. But they gave it a run, and that's the key.
Yeah.
Metropolitan Steel is a proud union contractor and an AISC Advanced Certified Erector with over 60 years of combined experience serving in the Chicagoland area. All of Metropolitan Steel's work is performed to exact project specifications, engineered procedures, and code requirements. For more information, call us at 708-474-2072.
Thanks, Phil.
So
John. Yes. So
next time we should have someone that can read.
Yeah.
Do the
it's a positive, isn't it?
There were a lot
By
of...
the way, I want to thank Karen Janica for saying the watch party already started.
Aww.
Like she's all over it. Like,
Super
what do you
fan.
mean? You don't need. Don't tell me I have to start a watch party.
That's
It's already,
amazing.
already
Speaking
on.
of super fans, it's Crystal
Yes.
Miranda's birthday today.
Crystal.
Whoa.
Top
What?
fan.
Happy birthday,
Fun
Crystal.
fact: she
Name
loves
her
New
best.
Kids on the
Oh,
Block.
I was just gonna
No,
say.
are
Name,
you serious?
New Kids on
Name
the Block.
Crystal's favorite band. I was just
You
gonna
knew
say
that?
Yes.
So she's out about that. I
Oh,
mean,
very
she-
much so.
Wow.
She,
Were you
she's
gonna-
an outed New Kids on the Block fan.
Oh yeah, super. You want to talk about super fan of something? Crystal Miranda, New Kids on the Block. So happy birthday, Crystal! You should be playing some New Kids on the Block. Well, no,
I'd love to. But
Hang
you know,
in
sing,
tough.
talking
some,
about big tech.
sing some New Kids on
Hang
the
in tough.
Now
I
we
can't
just got
remember.
kicked off probably with that rendition.
See? Well, that's what I'm saying. If you sound too much like the original artist, they may take it
They
like you're
kick you
actually
off.
playing the music.
And
So I
it's
apologize.
definitely a
if-
risk for you, Phil,
Yeah.
so stop singing, please.
Where do you
Okay.
want to go, Phil? What are we going to talk about? Mike Pence being almost hanged in the Capitol.
That's getting right to the deep area for
Whoa,
sure.
you just went dark, man.
Yeah, I mean, I heard, obviously I listened last week to your podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and, this stuff is, there's so much that is coming out on a daily basis. It's like, there's so many different things to talk about with this. But one thing that you're bringing up very clearly is Mike Pence. Where is Mike Pence?
We were talking about that yesterday when we were pre-showing, and that was one of the things I think that's amazing is Mike Pence has been absolutely silent. If this is, I would think he's got to be. Well, you keep hearing how mad he is, right? He's so angry. Where is
Livid.
he? Where is he? Why is he? I mean, I don't know the answer. What are the theories why he's being quiet?
Well, let me
Loyalty
ask you
to the
this.
president.
He's about to invoke the 25th.
Yeah.
Who knows?
He's waiting in the background to invoke that.
Yeah.
25th Amendment.
But does this make him more of
Is it positive or negative?
Are they
going to
look back on him and say, look, he didn't turn on the president. He's the vice president. Even though the president turned on him, because we saw what he said and what he tweeted, the president, the day of the riot or whatever you want to call it. But
Insurrection.
But Vice President Pence is not turning on President Trump.
Yeah, I mean,
right
maybe
now.
that's the spin. I think that's a good call, right? He can go down and say, look, I had a constitutional duty to do or not do something. I did my job at the Senate, but I never turned on my president.
He's doing what Michelle Obama said: when they go low, you go high. So
That's
he's
it.
saying President Trump went low, but he's staying high.
He's
Kevin.
staying high.
That's
He's
what
following
he's doing.
the Obama's
Yeah.
recommendation.
Absolutely. So
I just thought it was interesting that there was a noose on the Capitol. I don't know if that was for Mike Pence or for other people, or why there was a noose on the Capitol, but I saw it there on the grounds.
I think it was just art, Kevin.
Just a little art.
Just had time to make some stuff.
I read something that some African American Capitol police officers were being disparaged with the N-word. I thought that was really polite by the crowd. I also read something that said that you should know if you're on the right side of things if someone is or is not wearing a Camp Auschwitz shirt near you.
Oh my God, I saw
Wow.
that.
So I was
That
like, maybe that's a
awful.
good signal probably not in the right crowd.
Well, and when you're running through the Capitol with the Confederate flag,
Also a not in the right crowd.
probably
moment.
not, guys. Probably not. But that's the problem. This is the problem. We talked about this at a previous podcast. Is that when I'm talking politics with people, I get really angry, and it's not so much about President Trump because I feel like everybody knows who he is at this point. But
Who?
yeah,
John's like, I don't know him.
When
I
I
never,
say-
never met
Let
him.
me Google him real quick.
when I say who he is, I mean
Never met him.
who he is as a person.
I gotcha.
Thank you. But what bothers me more than anything is common sense. Like out of all of our friends and the people that supported him, and we have one in this room, obviously, common sense.
Well, I mean, it's one of the. I would say this. Like everybody has their point of view, and it's tough to. I mean, I'm no different, right? It's tough to maybe say, "Oh, I made a mistake," or "I shouldn't." I mean, people want to stick with the people that they support as long as you can, or as you want to be able to say, "I supported this person. I want to remain loyal to him. I want to." But it's some. I think last week, unfortunately, and I think John put it well last week when he said, for almost 4 years, we've been behind this guy, and then he basically throws everybody under the bus.
He did, man.
And I think that's maybe that to me kind of hit home because I know, obviously not as a supporter of the president, I don't have the same feelings that somebody that has supported the president maybe does about last week. And so when John said that, I was like, man, that would hurt.
Well, there's a lot of people out there that say, I don't blame the folks that stormed the Capitol because
That's
they
wrong.
were listening to the president. He was telling him that the vote was fraud, that they stole an election. It was a landslide victory on his side.
And if you really support him,
If you're a patriot, you will show up here and fight for your country. But the problem is with that is common sense. In 2016, when he lost the Iowa caucus to Cruz, he said it was fraud. When he lost the popular vote to Hillary Clinton, he put a committee together that because he said there was so much fraud, we need to investigate this and people need to know the truth.
that was interesting when somebody went back and said after the Iowa caucus, he said the Iowa caucus was fraud because he lost.
Exactly.
I mean, it's a bit of an MO, right? But I mean, you have to look at guys like Rudy Giuliani, Donald Trump Jr. at that rally. You have to look at what Ted Cruz did and Senator Hawley and all these guys. I mean, it goes on. And I think things are going to come out in the investigation over what happened that day. I don't for a second believe, or I don't for a second dispute when people said I got caught up in the moment. I think that's true, but you can get caught up in the moment and kill somebody too. I mean, you still have to pay for whatever your crime is.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of like groupthink going on when you have these, when you have riots, when you have large events. I mean, I was bringing up yesterday, if you've ever seen that ESPN thing on what happened with Bartman, right, at Wrigley Field. There's a lot of this, like when you have a huge crowd, groupthink takes over. You think you're just you just become part of the crowd, but you still have to be responsible for your actions. And if you killed a police officer and beat him with an American flag and a fire extinguisher, you're a murderer. I don't care how caught up in the moment you got. If you're rappelling down the Senate floor and sitting in Mike Pence's seat as President Pro Tem of the Senate, maybe you got caught up in the moment, but you still got to pay for your crime.
I was at the Bartman game, by the way.
I was
You're
too.
Exactly right. So, and part of that issue with the Bartman game and what happened to him is because when Moises Alou kind of made the thing and like, what did you do? Yeah. The entire crowd turned. Yeah. But that's the point, Kevin. Is months before the election, President Trump said, "If I lose, it's due to fraud." Common sense tells you no matter what happens, whether there's fraud or not, he's going to tell you there was. And this is the part that bothers me that I don't understand with Trump supporters. They lost that skill of realizing, hey, this doesn't make any sense.
Well, a lot of people have lost that skill just in general. I don't think this is just a right-wing thing. I think this is just an American people thing that they've lost that ability to think for themselves.
Well, social media is no.
As a teacher,
helper.
I know that there are some people who are exiting the school system who do not have that skill.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's the thing, right? I think it's an unholy marriage between Trump and some of these like supporters that may not have those skills, but they feel like they support this guy for whatever reason. I don't know if he's America's great white hope or they like him because of his trade policies with China or whatever it is, but they follow him to the T. And that's scary when he knows how to rile them up. They
want to believe what he's saying.
They may not be the smartest. They may have some interesting tendencies towards, I don't know if it's, whatever you want to call the issue, but he can rile them up. And that's dangerous. Because here, this happened during Watergate. You heard the term, it's about laws, not men, right? And that's the thing. And that's the thing you have to worry about and think about what he's done. You're not, if you're a patriot, if you're an American, you should be supporting the American ideal and the laws of the United States of America, not what Trump says the laws are. Right, this is about laws, not men.
Well, and I was at a kid's birthday party, and yes, I'm that guy where he's like opening the present,
dressed as a weird clown.
It's a Lego set that turns into Optimus Prime from the Transformers, and I'm like, yeah, but shouldn't we be talking about impeachment, Joey? So I'm the guy you don't invite to your kid's birthday party, but I'm there, and everybody's normal and everything. We start talking a little bit of politics, and you know,
careful, slippery slope.
The kid's grandma is like, well, and this is a couple weeks after the election, and the kid's grandma's like, well, you know, it's all fraud, and he didn't lose, so there's people out there that are going to listen to whatever he says. They're going to believe it, and they're going to run with it.
Because he says it. Yeah, because he's the president. He has respect in that sense.
But
he's the president.
75+ million people are not, like Phil, you just made a broad stroke. Like, well, Trump supporters lost the ability to think.
Not all of them.
I don't think 75 million people believe it's fraud.
I don't either.
No, of course not. So that, and to what Lindsay was saying, and to what Juan Touche in our chat is saying, not all those people at the Capitol did bad things.
Absolutely.
Kevin, you said it last night.
Yeah.
Throw a rally in the ellipse.
Absolutely. I read several tweets from people who, there were like some college students that said, we got bused there. We went to the rally. Our itinerary was get back on the bus. We did that. We went home. I think there's thousands of people that did that. They went to the rally. They enjoyed the rally. This was their guy. They support him. They got back on their buses and they went home.
But wasn't the rally about the fraudulent election?
Well, yeah, right. So they believe that, or they just want to, maybe they're just there for support. I don't know. I'm not going to say, but I just do know, right, that there were thousands of people that went home. But the problem is there were thousands of people that listened to the speeches, trial by combat. By the way, Rudy Giuliani should be disbarred, I believe. And they went to the Capitol, right as they suggested. And that's where you get into inciting a riot. That's when you get into conspiracy. And they did it. I don't know if they did it because they planned on doing it, because the dark web or right wing extremists or whoever. But there were many, many, many people that were not part of QAnon, that were not part of some strange white supremacist right wing thing, that were there to support the president and that did storm the Capitol.
And this ties into with social media. Is it sometimes the right thing to do to take Trump off where he can't tweet anymore? Because too many people, when he tweets something, there's a lot of people out there, they're just going to take it for it's true. He said it. This is the president of the United States. I've got to do what he says. And that's when I think, and I know there's going to be a debate here as far as when should you, not let somebody have their First Amendment right. But
well, I don't even know if that is. It's not a First Amendment right to be on Twitter.
Yeah, it's not the government silencing him. He is the government.
I thought I saw something funny, and I guess I want to get back to this because I know John. I'm sure John John's got notes. Has an opinion on this. I saw some funny stuff on the internet about Trump going to. I don't know if John Barron. Do you see the John Barron?
No.
It was like a picture of Trump with a mustache. So John Barron's the name that Trump used in the 80s as he would call up the press and say he was a spokesperson for Trump, and then he would say, Trump's doing this or Trump's doing that or whatever it was. With the New York press, it was like an ongoing joke between the press. They knew it was him, and so that John Barron started an account on Twitter, and
his voice is so distinguishable.
Oh yeah, exactly. And the first tweet from John Barron was like, "Hey, I'm new to this Twitter. What's up, guys?"
Yeah. It was a mustache.
It was a mustache.
Yes.
Thought it was great.
It's pretty
But
funny.
he really did try to get on with the official POTUS account.
Dude,
which was insane.
Yes, he did.
He succeeded on shutting down several accounts.
What's next? The emergency broadcast system?
That's right.
No, but Phil, you brought up a good point. America's reaction to this, the banning of Trump on every platform, even his campaign online store, right? Like Shopify banned them from processing transactions. Stripe, the credit card processor, Amazon cloud service is shut down. Parler, an entire social media platform. The impeachment by the House, all the talk about Cruz and Hawley need to resign. This reaction to this, is it the right? I'm not saying is it, because Lindsay made an argument. This is private business. Twitter can ban people all they want. But is it the right thing to do? Are we going in the right direction, or are we just escalating this even more?
Well, when it comes to Parler, There's a lot of information. Well, first off, they were removed from app stores, but then they were being hosted on certain servers that they had a trial for, and then they were removed for that, weren't they?
Amazon removed them.
Amazon is serving
they were
Parler.
Totally unprotected when it came to people able to hack in and access all this private information from all their users. They were on a trial subscription for a server or to be hosted, and they were removed from that. I mean, Parler was an unstable website that was not being run properly. So, I mean, the fact that it's been removed from places, I mean, it's obviously dangerous. People were able to get all this private information, locations, video, picture.
Well, I think the issue, right, is not whether they can do it, but should they be able to do it? And to John's point, right? I mean, so I think what I was trying to do was look at this objectively, and we're going to take a break in just a couple minutes and get Matt Reardon in here, and maybe it's a good time to continue that discussion. But the issue really should be not whether Twitter can take someone off, because they can. They're a private business, as John alluded to, and the First Amendment protects you from official actors restraining your speech. So if the city of Hammond says Phil Taillon can't speak in the city of Hammond anymore, that's restraining his speech. They're a government actor restraining speech. Parler, Twitter, Facebook, they don't have that. They're a private business. They can say, we don't like what you're saying on our platform, get out. But I think the bigger question should be, have these entities, Facebook, Twitter, I don't know, probably not Parler, but name another one, Google, whatever, have they become so big that there needs to be some regulation? Because if they can do, Donald Trump can go ahead and have a press conference in the Rose Garden and everyone will listen to him because he'll be on every TV station. Kevin Smith can't do that. If I get kicked off Twitter, if I get kicked off Facebook, does that somehow affect my, rights, or should they be regulated? That's the question. Should the government be regulating these big tech companies? Because if it's Donald, you'll hear it, right? If it's Donald Trump today, it could be you tomorrow. And that may be true.
Well, if it can become dangerous, if President Trump puts out a tweet right now and says, go to Hammond, Indiana,
right,
bring weapons,
burn it down,
storm City Hall, thousands of people will show up. So it becomes dangerous. And so in those situations, that's where I have no problem with somebody being blocked and not being able to.
Okay.
But who's the judge of that? Who's the judge
exactly.
of that?
The next day, trending hashtag on Twitter was hang Mike Pence. Where was Amazon shutting down Twitter for that? Allowing that hashtag to just run wild on Twitter.
So you're saying because the hashtag was running wild, that's enough? I mean, it's a lot. Matt Reardon's in the house, by the way.
What's up?
And I mean, is that, you're saying, John, that alone is enough? I mean, you got to remember, this is not just like Donald Trump's first rodeo at saying stuff on Twitter that's iffy, right? I mean, he's been saying the
everybody.
elections.
Look at your favorite liberal has always both sides say fight for what we believe in.
You're saying that when Trump said fight, or whatever he said, go, let's fight this, or whatever he said, you're saying that was meant just in the allegoric sense or the metaphorical sense that
I'm not sticking up for Trump's inflammatory tendencies.
Yeah,
I just want to be clear on that. What I am saying is I believe a lot more led up to January 6th than just Trump on stage saying, let's fight for what we believe is.
Yeah, and the question is,
I think this has been building for years.
Sure, but is it building for years because of Trump and what he's been saying? That's to me is the big question.
See, that's
and
the problem.
Did it just culminate in
People
that?
can choose.
By the way, Matt Reardon is in the house.
Yes, he is.
Hey guys,
welcome.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to
Matt.
you too.
That's
Let's
snappy looking.
Matt,
Brooks
you're not on
Brothers.
camera.
Thank you.
I need you
Yeah,
to
Matt, you
find that
gotta
blue
scoot
dot
in.
on the table.
Get closer.
Let's pay some bills and come back with Matt Reardon. Phil, hit it. It's 8:03 by the way.
Midwest air duct cleaning. Are your allergies going crazy? Is your furnace just not as effective as it was last winter? Your air ducts may need a cleaning. For quality and affordable air duct cleaning, contact Marinko at 219-671-8868 or at MidwestAirDuctCleaning.com for an estimate. Mention Left of Center for a 10% discount. They also have discounts for seniors, first responders, and veterans.
Jack's Carryout at Kenwood Tap, where you can get some handmade, home-cooked goodness from Jack's Carryout at Kenwood Tap, located at 6247 Kennedy Avenue. A delicious meal is only moments away. Jack's has your carryout favorites like shrimp, fish, chicken that are all made ready to order. Friday special is a half pound of fish and chips for only $6.95. Jack's is open Wednesday through Sunday. Call Jack's Carryout at 219-844-3032.
McGing's Painting. Do you want
new
an
sponsor?
Honest...
Ding, ding, ding,
Oh,
ding.
is this brand new?
Good job, Linz.
Oh, I didn't know that.
New sponsor.
Way to go, Lindsay.
McGing's Painting.
Do you want an honest contractor you can trust? At McGing's Painting, you will find someone who will give you a true consultation on what your home needs and what it takes to get the job done. From start to finish, it's more than just a coat of paint.
I like that.
Right? When done.
Read that again.
When start to finish.
No, from.
But Kevin, I mean, I think we're going to lose our new sponsor the first day they actually ran their. Yeah, they're done. When done, McGing's will also show you how to make sure your paint job lasts for years to come. McGing's is founded on quality service, and that's what they provide every day.
Page 3, Phil.
Oh. Contact McGing's at 219-680-0172 or visit their website at mcgingspainting.com for more information.
Thanks to McGing's for being our new sponsor. Thank you.
Who breaks up an ad and puts it on 2 pages?
I tried.
Okay.
I tried. Trust me.
When we say rookie, like who wrote this is really who I would say.
Lindsay.
Okay. Well, not Lindsay. She's
I
not.
took it from their website.
There you go. And I modified it.
Good morning, Mr. Reardon. How are you, sir?
I'm good.
I just want Matt's
Get the
take.
cuss counter ready.
Yeah. Matt's take. What's going on, man?
What's going on?
How you been?
I'm good, man. New Year's was good.
How's Mara?
She's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was enjoying not having to drive back down to Indianapolis.
How about that, right?
She looked at me. We were watching football.
Like it's Tuesday
on
night.
Sunday.
We can go out to dinner.
Yeah, it's on Sunday night. She's like, "Hey, guess where I don't have to go?" And I went, "Oh, yeah," because that drive went on for 15 years. Every
crazy?
Sunday, loading up the car, getting ready, taking the dog, heading on down there. So that was a relief. So everybody's chilled out. I mean, I don't know what everybody's all rammy about. I don't.
Nothing
I don't
going on in
understand.
Munster.
Not
There's
really.
Nothing going on.
And
There's
it's all
a car
good news.
chase and a shooting.
I see the front page there.
So
Good
good
news.
news,
Rakita
man.
is taking on big tech.
Well,
Matt.
I mean,
So, what-
Wait, he
For
is?
him.
I mean,
Okay, we're in good hands.
I heard that a lot from people in Indiana. They wanted big tech quashed
Especially
because that was a
lately.
problem.
I thought they're trying to get big tech in here. I thought Hokum
Well,
wants to bring
I'm
big
pretty
tech to
sure
Indiana.
I just
Didn't they
worked
apply for Amazon just like we did? Everybody did.
I'm pretty sure I worked really, really hard to get a data center into the state of Indiana, and now we have the Secretary of what? What is he now?
New secretary is new AG.
Well,
Attorney General.
I mean, I would be disingenuous of me to say I was sad that Curtis Hill was sent packing.
True.
But Todd, I got issue with you taking on big tech while, I don't know, we just got $200 million to invest in the state of Indiana.
Well, here's the
so
thing.
why don't you check that shit with the Office of Economic Development and see how that goes?
You
Get
know what?
back to me.
One of the things about that I thought was interesting about that is, number one, I think it's known that Rakita and the Indiana Republican Party, they don't always see eye to eye, and they're not real big fans of his. They're obviously less fans of Curtis Hill's, but I guess if I was looking at this as a true red Indiana Republican, Trump just took on Mike Pence and threw him under the bus and told him, and the former governor, right?
Yeah.
And he's basically saying his first tweet, I think, John, it was in 2 hours of the riots. He said, "I will always support President Trump," and used his hashtag, and also hashtagged Scavino, I think, in it.
Yeah, he was testing the boundaries of free
Yeah, that's
speech.
what he said. He said, "I wanted to see if I was going to get kicked off of Twitter."
Did he really?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my God.
After, of course, I'm sure he heard a bunch of shit from people in Indiana about what about Mike Pence, whose family was with him in the Capitol, as people were saying, "Hang Mike Pence."
Wow.
By the way, we should let the left of center viewers and fans know they have nothing to worry about with this because there's no big tech in this room at all. No. And in
We're
fact,
low tech.
the servers are run on a Commodore 64.
And I think we're
So-
in mono. Are we in mono, John?
We're in mono.
on AM radio?
No
Dial-up
issues with
internet.
us.
You got to start somewhere. You know what?
I don't want it.
You got to slug it out. You know, you got to start somewhere.
So we had to discontinue our phone line anytime anybody called. We got knocked off Facebook.
Linz, don't remind everybody we don't have a phone number.
We need more sponsors, please, people.
Thank you, McGee.
Please.
we
Sponsor.
gotta start digging into some of that treasure trove of national podcast sponsors.
Yeah,
I
we
hear
do.
a lot of them. I think you guys are right at the precipice.
We're almost there.
If you get a little more inflammatory speakers on here, you might get across. The
Maybe
finish
we'll get
line.
big tech.
Maybe you'll get big tech. Well, I'm here to stand up for big tech in that I think they should be able to do what they want to do. Now, I'm not your run-of-the-mill guy that was all up in arms about the baker that didn't want to sell cakes to gay people.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, if that guy wants to lose business, I mean, I guess that's on him. I mean,
And ultimately, that's what the Supreme Court said.
and
Hey,
that's been my perspective. If you want to make a business decision about something, go ahead and make it. So I'm like, well, all right. So Twitter and the rest of them are like, well, I don't think I want to have that guy use my platform. So get off. And then this outrage and hand-wringing, like, oh, my God, I'll fight to death, for your right to say whatever you want. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, what? Wait a minute. Hold on. So up until that point, and every single policy issue put out by the GOP in Washington that I'm familiar with has been decidedly pro-business.
Pro-business. Do what they want.
Exponentially.
Good point.
Including in the state of Indiana, hey, we're going to have right to work because fuck you, union guys, because I don't care. And bam, that happens. So, I mean, look at the continuum of positive business, which are things that I like about the GOP, because that's where I come from.
Low regulation. Stay out of business. So I brought up regulation, but you're right. The GOP is all about
the old GOP.
Right. Well, it's Trump's party now.
That's right.
Just talk to Don Jr.
Exactly right.
So you now change the, again, that's why I'm on the right of center. That's why I'm more conservative than liberal, because most of my issues fall into the business category. I think businesses should be able to pretty much do what they want. I mean, as long as they're not damaging the health and welfare of the citizenry, I'm good with it. And it's just the thing that really strikes me as interesting about Donald Trump, the cult of personality, is this: his followers, what he makes his followers do to continue follow him is mind blowing. So to the GOP out there, hey, I know that you're pro-business and all, and I know you've really built your entirety of your career supporting business and business rights and what they can do, but I need you to stand up now and slam the door on business just because they took me off a fucking platform.
John, this is interesting. I want to hear the counterpoint on
there is no counterpoint. Listen, I told you this last Friday. When I listened to Trump's quote-unquote concession speech.
Right. Non-concession.
I thought to myself, and I told you this, Kevin, Trump does not deserve his followers.
There you go.
It is
you did.
Not to belabor the point, but that's what we're doing here talking. I'm like, why would you? It's like at every turn. All right, now I'm going to have to change my belief set to fit within what's going on. I mean, Kevin McCarthy can't possibly be that stupid. All right, now he's not that stupid. Can't possibly.
No, he weighs
and I'm trying to figure out what is the benefit. I mean, here's another thing. If I were in the U.S. Senate or if I were in the House of Representatives, on my platform, number one would be to get Donald Trump gone. If I was the GOP. Because if I had any ideas of moving up the ladder and running for office,
that's right.
I want him gone.
Well, so that brings up a really good question, right? So impeachment, articles of impeachment are probably coming Wednesday, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they're going to go through the House, obviously, probably with some Republican support.
I would think.
But not total, right? We
No.
had 130 of them voted to overturn the election, so we got that
was
going.
just not too.
Four
of our good Hoosier representatives got on that bandwagon.
Big time. Don't forget them, folks.
Do not. I'm not. I'll tell you that.
Pence's brother, probably.
Oh, yeah. He was on it. I'm sure he was torn by the whole thing. He might be a little, he might want a refund.
I heard he's with his brother, though, when they were saying hang Mike Pence. So
that's cool.
They were in close quarters.
Defending each other? That's
cool. So we got an impeachment articles are coming. I mean, that's going to pass the House. And just a reminder to folks, there's two steps, right? You've got the House Representatives. That's like the grand jury. They bring the indictment, which is the articles of impeachment. Then it goes over to the Senate for a trial. So, and by the way, there's precedent for not having the trial while someone's in office. You can actually convict somebody after they're out of office. That's happened before. So, and by the way, impeachment trials aren't just for the president. There's a special procedure for the president, but it's also for other federal officials or federal office holders.
So if I'm Ted Cruz,
get him out.
The scumball that he is, I'm like, number one, A1 is that guy gets impeached. Period.
Convict him, you mean?
Convicted in the Senate. Oh, this is
2/3.
horrible.
You need 17 Republican senators to vote for
you figure
conviction.
You could scrape up 5 just because that are old enough.
You would
that
think.
they're old enough.
Collins, right? You can
that they're old enough that they don't care. And Mitt Romney hasn't given a shit about what Trump has said. And maybe you troll man or who else could we grab? I don't know. Maybe at this point you might get yourself a Todd Young, which I would do if I were that guy. And I advised him, I'd be like, Senator, probably a good idea. I mean, you played this whole let's not join in on the sedition train thing pretty well. You've distanced yourself from Trump mostly. Now's the time to really put the dagger in the guy and move forward and get him impeached so he can't run again. He's out of the way. Then you can wring your hands about all of it and say how sad it was and how much you're going to change it. Come on.
You would think there'd be a push for that, because I would think the Republican Party that's not pro-Trump, right? The GOP that's not pro-Trump. Let's get him out. By the way, they also have the ability to prohibit him from office, from ever holding federal office again, right? You can do that, right? That's potentially a separate vote, actually, in the Senate. So that'd be interesting. And if they did that, now all of a sudden you got your party back.
Right.
Now, but isn't the question, what happens on the underground? What happens underneath? What does Trump do then?
I don't. Do you guys even want to see him impeached? I have mixed emotions about this whole thing. Does he deserve to be? Yes. Do
they have a duty to do it? That's the question, right? So if he deserves to be...
This is the same question we had last time when we went through this whole rigmarole.
Yeah. And I think the people that said yes was because they have a duty to impeach him.
And all it did was make him stronger.
Well,
when they impeached him last time, it made him a stronger
president. It may
president.
do the same thing this time.
So I'm not saying this from a place of any kind of goodness nor pro-America. I'm saying self-servingly, as a U.S. senator who wanted to be president,
self-servingly,
right?
I would want to vote that guy out, and I would want a roll call
because it helps your own
vote
power.
Because it helps your power base, and irrespective of the fact that Trumpism. I mean, listen, have you heard his kids talk? It's like they got marbles.
Yeah,
in
they're not going anywhere.
There's no chance. Okay?
They're not like Dad.
So now you have one of the biggest financial supporters of everybody on planet Earth in big
Cook
tech.
Brothers,
let me start with big tech. So you're just going to poke them in the eye unilaterally. So if I'm maybe a good Republican, I'm out there saying, I don't think we need to be bashing business like this. Do we need to have some regulations? Of course, maybe we should consider that. Is the place to consider that on a social media platform? No, it's not.
Interesting.
The place to do that is in the halls of Congress. That's what I'm going to do.
So let me ask you this, though. What occurs, Phil, what do you think, and John probably need to hear from you guys and Lynn's, but what do you if that happens, right? They impeach Trump. They tell him he can never run for federal office again. What about this kind of underground support of the people that were willing to storm the Capitol, of the far, the right-wing extremists? Then what happens? I mean, in a way, they would say, I would think you'd have a better argument. Look what they did to me. They told me I can't even run for office anymore. We need to take back our government. We need to take it over. That's what I would. That could be the fear.
Two of the highest IQ politicians out there that they talked about is Cruz and Hawley, right?
Sure.
And yet these are the two.
That's power hunger. That's all I'm.
But they're smart guys. They're
right,
super intelligent guys.
Sure they are.
And it's hard for me to say that because I don't like them at all. But the whole point is nobody does what they truly believe anymore or what's the right thing to do. It's all about what's going to get me more votes.
Ambition,
how am I get more
power.
Contributions from my donors.
But it might have backfired on Cruz and Hawley. It might have.
Well, that's what I'm saying is you get rid of Trump, who's next? Because Cruz, I thought, was key for 2024. But now it seems like he might have misstepped here.
Yeah.
And everyone wants him to resign. But, Kevin, this goes back to answer your question, that Ann Coulter article. I agree. I think any hope the Republican Party has is to get another populist type candidate in there, but they actually would do something,
and wouldn't be
because you'll get that base. You'll get the
of course
populist
you'll get
base.
that base, but you don't have to do it in a violent manner. You don't have to incite people, and I think that's probably the best.
So like
just a better head on their shoulder.
So like a thinking person's Trump.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
A moderate Trump.
Yeah.
Isn't Biden? Go ahead, Matt.
I was going to say, the people in charge now, and mind you, I'm never a fan of one party controlling all facets of government.
Yep.
Inevitably, it leads to a shit show, and there's bad policy.
A lot of blame game.
That bad policy gets put out there, and shit gets put in hastily, and it's like I got to get it done under the wire.
Well, and from the party that is in that frame, I would say it also promotes infighting because you got nobody to, you can't point the finger.
You can't blame anybody else. So now it's you, and you're supposed to do something. So the Democrats, just like Trump had the opportunity to put his show on the road and show people what you could do and what you meant. And so if Joe Biden's saying, look, we need to tackle the virus, we're going to figure out how to reduce people's personal debt having to do with college and a couple of the other left items that were discussed. We're going to ratchet back up some of the environmental issues. We're going to push towards green energy and all this other stuff, which is, I'm not downplaying any of that. But what I'm saying is, if you need to have a tangible showcase piece that you move forward, that you tell people, this is what I did. I said I was going to do. This is what I did.
Like Affordable Care Act for Obama.
Right. And this is why it happened. So then that's going to give you more than 2 years. Because otherwise, just like what happened before with Obama, he had 2 years. They're like, all right, that's enough of that shit.
I think, right. I mean, 2 years from now, there's a lot of Democrats up in the Senate. So I think it's a 2-year window. Right. To see what happens.
So if you have enough positive change and it has to be tangible. It can't be this esoteric, we're going to kumbaya and everybody's going to feel good about, America now. I no, it has to be a tangible activity, something like, hey, look,
they're going to start with $2,000 checks, right?
Which is good. I mean,
if I'm Donald Trump, aren't I going to say that was my idea?
That was my idea. Well, then you're right back.
Who's going to get the credit?
Then you're right back to, then why didn't you do it?
Yeah.
But that's why.
Well, my own party wouldn't let me. Oh, okay. So what party are you talking about, guys?
It's his party.
President-elect Biden has said he's bringing us all together, red and blue. It doesn't
Trump
matter.
said that at the inauguration.
Which is exactly why you probably don't do the impeachment proceedings.
Yeah, they're going to impeach him, whether they do the trial or not.
I agree with Phil on something.
So wait. Now think about it politically, strategically. Also, if you're working for Biden, you're like, listen, number one, I recommend you don't get involved in any of this shit.
Which I think he's basically been
100%.
doing.
Which he's been doing. So you're like, just let it. Don't talk about
people don't like
social
Congress
media.
Anyway.
They're the scapegoat. They're always a scapegoat. So let it all play itself out. Don't say anything. And then you stand up at the last minute and say, I respect your right to vote for impeachment. I think it's time to heal the country. I concur with Representative McCarthy that you should censure the president and we should put this ugly, stained chapter of American history behind us.
So Representative Clyburn of South Carolina said it might take months to send the impeachment articles over to the Senate for a trial. To me, two problems with that, I think, is either if you're going to do it, do it. Number two, because then I think it hurts Democrats by saying, well, if it was so much of a rush to impeach this guy and get rid of him and to, convict him, why are you waiting months?
Right. It's not logical. I heard you talking earlier about common sense. So I don't know what's happened to those two things. They left the station.
For sure.
A long time
ago.
A ways ago. Now, that's not to say that local government doesn't use those things. And I'm not just saying that because I have local government clients and I work with them. But small p politics continues to plod along. I mean, you guys have your council meetings. You guys have your plan commission meetings, and those things continue.
And those are important.
And they're keeping the economic engine going in our society, in our country. Yet you have all this subterfuge in Washington about what should we do, don't we do? But I think it's an opportunity for the president, as much as I think he'd like to say, I don't give a fuck what happens to Trump. I would like to see him hauled out of there in handcuffs and kicking and screaming. I think the wise political decision for Joe Biden would be, I think you should censure him. After January 20th, I don't want to hear about Donald Trump.
He's not coming to the inauguration.
The censure process is just one meeting, essentially?
It's a resolution.
Okay.
So he's not going to come?
What
I found really funny is
no helicopter ride out.
His daughter wants to show up, and I'm like,
wow.
Well, I want to go too. My dad was no part of the sedition.
John, does she get what color for Ivanka at the inauguration? Question.
I think she goes with red. What do you think?
I would think you should go with a red, but
red maybe a blue.
It's winter,
sash.
so you don't want to wear white and a blue, like a purple.
You never wear pastels after Easter, Kevin. Everybody knows that rule.
Maybe winter white with some dark sunglasses. I don't know.
This will be interesting.
I think Joe Biden seems to me to be the kind of person that shit doesn't bother him too much.
No,
it's
I
like,
agree.
you know what,
At
man?
that point,
there's a lot of people that bitch about Joe Biden's done 47 years of doing nothing. That's a lot of accumulated experience and friendships in Washington, D.C.
I think
and across
the same.
a lot of places.
I agree with you.
And so it's really hard to motherfuck somebody that you know.
I think you're going to see Mitch McConnell in the White House a bunch.
So
you're
too.
going to see these guys come over there. Chuck Schumer. They're it's going to be, and he was a senator. I said this a couple times in the pod. Joe Biden knows the Senate.
Yes.
Yeah. No,
and
good or bad?
He was so smart with his social media. He never, I mean, from somebody who's upset with Trump, who just really despises the guy, you want to see Biden like come after him and say this, but he didn't. He kept saying, look, we got to focus on COVID.
Right.
We got to come together as a country. That was the right message. It was the right, stay out of it. Let Trump be the guy who's going to say
Be the
you're
bad
idiots
guy.
and
So,
losers.
and Trump may have to pay, in New York State, he may have to pay. I mean, there's going to be a bunch of investigations about Donald Trump. Now, whether anything happens or anything comes of it, and if people think it's vindictive, not vindictive, I guess the time will tell. But he's gonna have to pay the piper some way.
And we were talking, he's going
Whether
to
it's
pardon
Cyrus
himself
Vance.
for federal crimes. He's going to pardon himself. But Kevin, you
that's
were
going
saying
nowhere.
that's not going to work.
I don't think that's
going to
gonna work.
And I don't think
Let's start a poll.
I don't think that
Good,
Biden
John.
does anything about it. I think Biden shifts to a reliable position that he's taken since he was elected is I have bigger fish to fry than Donald Trump. I have to worry about the pandemic. I have to worry about the economy. I have to worry about, health care. Those are my issues. If the powers that be want to litigate Donald Trump and he owes, then he needs to pay like every other American.
Yeah,
he doesn't deserve special treatment.
No, he doesn't, and that's why you shouldn't be able to pardon yourself. And I think a better question, maybe John online would: do you think if Trump pardons himself, is it going to stick? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, is it so? I mean, that's the question. There's something in the law you'll see, I'm sure, if he does pardon himself. It says, you can't be your own judge and jury. So that's the first issue I would have with pardoning yourself. Secondly, I think if you look up, maybe you'd have to look at the Federalist Papers or something, but if you look up the history of the pardon, I think it probably goes back to England and whether the king could, save you from your crimes and from the gallows or whatever. And it seems to me that a pardon is something that you give to somebody or a gift, or it's not something that you can just give to yourself.
However,
I
it
think
would
you'd have
not
a
shock
big
me in
problem.
any way that he would attempt
He would
to
try
do
to.
so.
He may
Oh,
try
he's
to.
going to.
Why wouldn't he?
Come on.
So that,
What's
I
he have
mean,
to lose to try?
Exactly.
Well, his
Zero
whole-
at this
He'll
point.
show up in the Rose Garden for that one, Kevin. He'll be like, everybody, cameras,
Come on around.
Hey,
I am pardoned.
Here it
gonna-
is. I've signed it.
Yes.
I,
I'm
Donald Trump, pardon Donald Trump.
CNN, do you have this? I want to make sure you have this.
I'm going to exercise free speech here in the Rose Garden, which I could do every day, 24/7, 365, and put all the information out about everything I wanted to.
So who
but
cares
I'm going to
if-
rely on a platform to govern.
Well, you know what, John? That brings up something, actually, that Matt just said. In the past, presidents haven't relied on social media to get their message out.
Yeah.
It's a new thing. I mean,
Yeah.
for Trump decided to take his own personal account, not his official account, not at POTUS, his
Right.
own personal account. I never thought about this, and use that as his ability to get things out. So the reality is the president has all kinds of ways to get his message out. So maybe that is a fine point on this debate, I think.
And here's a question too: is that Matt brought up also in a way is when do you think we'll hear from Trump again? Because he's been pretty silent since he hijacked the POTUS Twitter.
Well, I thought, speaking of Ann Coulter, she said something about which mile of the wall will he stand in front? And then today, and then somebody said 17, and she said approximately because I think it's 12.
Oh my God!
He's going to be there today, touting his wall.
Yeah,
Let's hope it doesn't fall down on him.
Is that where Mexico is going to transfer the bag o' money? Is that when that goes down?
They're going to throw
I
it.
heard
They're throwing it over the
throw it
wall.
over the wall?
It's all going to be the pesos are coming over the
Hey,
wall.
you ready over there? All right, it's coming.
You owe us.
Toss
Remember?
the bag over.
But right now, I mean, and this is what I'm saying.
They're going to
about-
walk around the edge of
Yeah.
it.
Hold on a minute. Just go underneath it.
It can be climbed. Phil sent me a video of
Yes,
that.
Can
I
be.
saw that too.
They went back and forth. They went to the United States and they're like, just showing you I can. We don't actually want to be here.
Well, they probably said this
And
place
they
is
went
crazy
back.
right now. We're going back
Exactly.
to Mexico.
They were scared when they got to the United States side. Like, heck no, I don't want any part of this.
No, I think I think Biden, if he plays it cool, which seems to be in his in his persona to do it that way. As much as I've commented that I thought that Trump should have been impeached a long time ago, there was no doubt in my mind that he and his people sat down with Russia. There's nothing that shows me in his personal past practice or what he has done in business or he's done in politics that would dissuade me that he
It's
didn't
all
do that.
selfish.
Furthermore, there's a whole big fat report that was done in the Senate that that says in black and white, the Soviet Russia impacted the election. It was decidedly in favor of Donald Trump. What they didn't draw the correlation to was Trump doing it or actively seeking it, and that was the link they left out. So they went as far as they could without really causing too much issue. But hey,
as we move forward towards the inauguration, what's the thought of, are there going to be additional attempts at violence either at state capitals or in Washington, D.C.?
It's already out there, Kevin. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff out there.
But is it going to come to fruition? Or do you think that they're going to organize and be able to do anything?
Well, okay, maybe
a lot
for
more
sure,
security.
Smaller events are definitely going to happen. The FBI has already warned everybody.
Are they going to get violent?
Well, yeah. Well, let's put it this way. They're going to show that they could get violent if they want to. Are they going to get violent? I would say probably not, because you just saw what happened now, and everybody's like, whoa, you broke the law. You're not American. You're not a patriot. So now they're going to quickly learn, going out there and showing my guns to everybody. Maybe that's as far as it goes, but taking it any further than that, now you're a terrorist.
Yeah.
So did we, in this whole exercise, I've seen a lot of people drawing corollaries to, the people who stormed the Capitol in Madison and the people who stormed the Capitol here. And I'm thinking about, so the question I have out there for Trump people is, supporters, is what was the rally about? I mean, what was it about?
Stop the steal.
So I mean,
that was called. Stop the steal.
So bear with me a minute. So you have a rally about somebody, the president of the United States, that says there was an election, it was stolen.
Yeah.
I can't
without
prove
any evidence.
I can't prove it. In fact, my arguments have been rebuffed in court 60 times plus, and the Supreme Court. But I know that it was stolen, and you do too.
And
so
that's
we're
dangerous.
all going to get together, and we're going to talk about it.
And that's where the danger comes in. It goes back to what Phil said earlier. If you have a microphone, you have a bully pulpit, you have to realize that what you say affects people. And it will, if they really believe in you, it's really going to affect them. I have yet to see or yet to hear who was behind this stealing of the election. Was it the Democratic Party? Or are all these people just being quiet that they stole the election and they're going to tell us later who they are? I mean, you can't steal a presidential election on the magnitude that was. I mean, is it Georgia and Pennsylvania and Arizona and Nevada and Wisconsin and Michigan? Yeah. That's the issue I have, is it's impossible to coordinate that without being known.
My version of Stop the Steal is a little bit different,
all right,
I think, than
We're
people
listening.
who stormed the Capitol. Okay.
So
I do not believe that, what was the spread of the loss? Few million? 5 million?
7 million, whatever it ended up
7
being.
million? I don't think 7 million dead people voted.
Agreed.
However, I think when Nevada, for example, when there's a law that
Makes
you
it
send
easier.
out unsolicited ballots to every voter, I think
Okay,
that's part of the
but
steal.
when's
but
the
it's a
time
law.
to
I know.
argue that?
This is what I'm saying. I get it. I get that. Like, it's past time for that. But that's where I think there were problems.
But that's not fraud, by the way. That's not fraud.
That's a good point too, right? It's not fraud. Now, John, you make a good point that there may be laws on the books. And by the way, each state runs their own election, right? So the laws in Nevada are not the laws in Indiana regarding elections. Indiana didn't send out ballots to everybody. But in some states, the state legislature said that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Or the election commission or whatever. But the time to fight that is before the election. You can't bitch after.
Yeah.
I mean, do an injunction before when that law went into effect. I mean, maybe the blame goes into the Trump campaign because they didn't have their shit together.
They
Could be.
were lazy.
They were
again.
Could be.
Again. Lazy again.
They let all
Lazy about
these-
everything.
Election law changes just go by.
They do.
So
Here we are.
look,
and sometimes the Democrats are lazy in Indiana.
Oh.
We sit there and say, "Well, I can't believe they passed that new election law," and then we don't do anything about it.
Oh, they got rid of all those precincts.
That's
voter
right.
suppression.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, gee
Good point,
whiz.
Matt.
But this
what are we gonna do?
this is worse than laziness. Anybody who watched 60 Minutes this past Sunday, and they showed in Georgia how when Rudy Giuliani was presenting to the legislators to say, look, there's all this fraud going on, there's these votes that showed up and whatever, it was proven that they were editing videos on purpose to confuse people and make them think that actual election fraud happened.
When you're dealing with Republicans on Republicans, right? This isn't Trump taking on two Democrats in Georgia. He's taking on the Georgia governor and the Georgia Secretary of State, who are both Republicans,
that voted for him.
that voted. Maybe their vote was.
They voted
maybe
for
their
him.
vote was missing.
I just need 11,780,
That's it.
man.
Now think about that. How if I said
First of
that?
all,
If I
who-
said that, if you like, I think the mayor brought this up. Our Locomotive
did.
brought this up. He said if I said that in Lake County, and I called Michelle Feynman and said, Michelle, find me 11,780 votes, so I can
really
win.
need you.
Yeah,
I really need it. You know what I'm talking about. You know that guy didn't really win. You know there was
Could
fraud.
you imagine?
Yeah, he'd be probably in
He
jail.
would be indicted probably
tomorrow.
without a doubt.
And
Oh
you
my
had the
God.
president threatening him on the
call.
He is
A recorded
threatening
call.
him.
This isn't like made up.
Tip of the cap to that guy. I'd be like, good for you. Be like, you know what? Roll tape, because I know I don't trust this asshole or what he's going to ask me, and no one's going to believe me when I tell him.
By the way, speaking of roll tape, John, did you see the video of Lindsey Graham in the airport getting called a traitor? I was like, that's deserved.
See
Thank
what I
you.
mean?
Thank you, Lindsey
You had
Graham.
to be happy about that.
I was like,
think.
you flip-flop piece of, crap.
Yeah.
I was just like, here you go, Lindsey. This is who you think your supporters are.
And your guy, Trump, puts you in that position. Now, you guy, a long-standing senator who has done some good in his life, is being heckled in an airport because you didn't support the reality TV host guy who had a case of the SADS because
who, by
he
the
lost
way,
an election.
you've been on your knees for the last 3.5
Right.
years.
I'm like, why?
I gotta agree with Matt, man. Like it goes back to Trump doesn't deserve the things we had to do, the ridicule to support Trump.
I mean,
Ridicule to support you is not worth it.
But why didn't you realize that?
That's what I don't
That's
think.
me. Where's the realization that this guy isn't
because
worth
he
it?
did not look. When the dust settles, everyone's hyped right now.
All right.
He was not terrible at. He wasn't terrible from.
How's he
going
gonna
to
go down, though?
I know.
But he's
But
going to go visit the Trump library. Where's
but
that
look at
gonna
how
be?
the stock market reacted
Well,
to
I'm
Trump
pretty-
early on. Think about
Look
that.
how the,
I mean,
look
it
how
was-
the market
Yeah,
reacted
Positive.
to
yeah,
Biden.
yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like this, Trump's kept saying like the market's going to tank
yeah.
if Biden wins. It's
But
it'll
that was
tank some
when
point.
they interviewed the Secretary of State of Georgia, who said I voted for Trump, and then
Yeah.
they said, well, what did that mean when he was on the phone and he was threatening you? But he was, well, it showed his character. You didn't see his character in the past 4 years. This just occurred to you. You still voted for him.
I just realized
knowing-
Trump's selfish.
Yeah, right.
Maybe that's what's wrong.
You know what? After this election, it's truly coming out about him now. His 4,000 tweets last week didn't do it, but now I get it.
But Trumpism or MAGA, whatever, it wasn't like people were just magnetized to it. There was a reason that was created.
He galvanized the
to be-
feeling of
Yes.
those. Yeah, I agree with that, John,
Yeah.
for sure. He took up the populist flag and realized that by doing that he might get elected,
But
and
this,
he did.
This is the
For
exact
sure.
reason, Matt, they shouldn't have gone forward with impeachment, because a savvy politician would have known he's not going to get impeached, and it's going to make him stronger. And we still did it,
Yeah.
and it did make him stronger. And look what we got to in the
Well, he
end.
still lost, which is a good thing.
Well, yeah.
But I disagree that they shouldn't have gone forward the first time. I think that unless I never. Well, let me put it this way, and I always try and go back to what's the logical process to not have something happen again. So there was all this. I'm like, well, then we've proven that Russia definitely meddled. So now what is the recourse, or what are we going to do, Congress? And the answer was,
You have a
well,
duty.
we did a report, and that's it. Well, no. Well, now what are we going to do about it? And the answer was, well, yeah, we're not going to really do anything about it.
Well, it sounds like you got to do something now, then, too, right? I mean, they have to.
Well,
do
that's
something.
something I think President Biden will address, right? You are going to. Russia did hack into our system. They are doing some things that could be very dangerous for our country. So I think President Biden is going to address that pretty quickly.
I think so too. And then you look at, I think from the bigger picture, the what is the value in outside of the personal satisfaction of Trump being stomped out like a sig butt? What does that do? There's still a lot of people that truly believe that an election was stolen, right,
do.
wrong, or
Yeah.
indifferent. There's a whole bunch of people
And they believe
running
that the
around.
government isn't working for them, and they're
and they-
marginalized and all that.
and all of that stuff. And I guess I got to go back to the question: is why do you feel marginalized? Number one, and before you start pointing fingers at whose fault it was that you are marginalized, what are you doing yourself? So the party that is all about pull yourself up by your bootstraps, became the party under Trump of blame everybody else for your fucking problems, not mine. And ergo, we're going to move forward and we're going to take things back and we're going to stop the steal.
What does that
and
even
all these
mean,
other
by the way?
they're all nonsensical fucking catchphrases that get people whipped up in a frenzy like they're at a wrestling match.
Well, go back to fake news. I mean, nowadays, all you had to do as a politician, if somebody said something you did wrong and they had, look, we've got the facts right here. You just said fake news.
And
you
that was,
tossed
and,
it,
and then all those people said, "Yeah, fake
everybody
news."
believes you. I mean, it's so, I don't
We got to get
understand.
away from the big lie and get back to hopefully some truth and middle ground.
Common sense.
So there were some things that, and I wanted to come on here and say there were some things Trump did right. I mean, he should have appointed all those judges. That's your job.
He has the right to
Pound
do that.
them in. That's your job. Pick as many
You-
people
you-
that are conservative.
And you control the Senate.
And you
Have
control
at
it. Do it. Put the Supreme Court people in. Pick who you want. That's right in your wheelhouse. That's what you're supposed to be doing. You can argue, were the people he selected necessarily the best? I don't know,
Doesn't
but they're
matter.
your people.
And
You get to pick.
he has the right to do that.
Right. So, that ship, fine, sailed,
Mm-hmm.
done. I look at what the corporate tax breaks did. Now, would I have done it that way? No. I would have offered corporate tax breaks in order to garner more reinvestment in the United States.
Yeah, like get the manufacturing jobs back.
Trickle down?
I would say if you want to get your corporate tax break, you
Yeah.
need to make investment and create jobs in Indiana or in the United States.
Instead-
If you don't do that, you don't get the credit.
Well,
and
instead
so
of a
leave it up to the business to make those decisions.
Well, what Trump would try to do, he would just threaten GM and say, if you need to reopen that plant,
Yeah,
or
they're
else.
like,
I mean,
really?
that was his MO. And
yeah, they're like, really? Well, I don't see you at the top of the fucking shareholder list, so no.
Let's. I want to wrap things up. We're getting to that point. Phil's got to get to work. He's already got his suit on, the
Yep.
Walgreens suit.
That's right.
They didn't
I
say-
said Sears, Kevin.
I'm sorry,
Come
Sears,
on.
aisle 6.
Yes.
I worked at Walgreens.
Before we
Did you
go,
really?
though,
Wow,
did.
two
Wow.
Walgreens alumni right
Right
here.
on, man.
Yeah, let's go. That's why we're good people.
All that stock they gave you.
Yep.
hey, before we go, I think people want to hear your Super Bowl picks.
Oh, all right.
I'm sorry.
Let's
I meant
go.
to add, no, not just Super Bowl. Come on, let's go. We got a lot of games this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Real quick, before we end.
I mean,
for those
because
that
we
really
haven't
wanna-
done the Phil segment
for,
in a long time.
For those real fans that really want to sit here and listen to left to center, we're
Wait,
going to do our picks.
Did you have Alabama yesterday?
I actually
I said
did not
yes.
bet the game. yesterday
I did
at
not
all.
bet the game either.
Didn't
but
touch it.
If I had to, I mean, it sounds little.
I thought for half a second I
yes,
was gonna.
I wanted Alabama.
I thought for
had
half.
Alabama.
I thought for half a second I was like, maybe Ohio State, and then I went, stop yourself.
If I came on Lockpot, I definitely would have gave my lock of the century as Ohio State for sure.
Lindsay, Rams versus the Packers.
Packers.
Okay, Phil.
I'm definitely going Packers.
No, this is line, right?
Well, the line we know what the. Oh, you're saying with the line because
Yeah,
what I've got it at
6.5.
6.5.
Oh yeah.
I'm definitely going Packers. They're blowing everybody out these days.
John.
Packers.
Yes, I think we're all in Packers. Ravens, Bills, Buffalo -1.5.
I have a feeling about the Ravens this year. Look out for the Ravens. I think that they could be going all the way, and so I'm definitely taking the Ravens here.
So that means bet the other team.
Buffalo's the favorite, by the way, John. Buffalo's -3, so
1.5.
I think Buffalo got a little bit of
Only 1.5, Phil.
Mine
Who is
says
this,
3 on
Ravens or
ESPN.
Bills?
I'll go with the Bills.
Ravens or Bills? We're going to see what chat thinks.
I'm gonna.
Go ahead.
Matt, go.
I think the Bills are getting a little disrespect here. I watched a good football team play.
I'm
and
going Bills.
I'm going to go Bills too.
All right, so Phil's on
they
his own
didn't
on
cover,
that one.
Matt.
I
Everybody
know,
was telling me.
but it's only 1.5. So somebody's going to win the game, and it's going to be more than a point.
No, I agree with
So I
you.
look at it that way.
I had people saying the Bills are blowing everybody out these days.
Yeah.
Give the 6.5, and that was not the right call.
Not the right call.
That's a lot of points.
Browns, Chiefs, 10 points.
Whoa.
I'm going Browns.
Chiefs.
I'm going Browns. I'm taking the 10.
Did you see what happened when they were up 28-0? They almost lost the game, Phil, to the Steelers.
The Chiefs are a smidge overrated this year.
Really?
They got beat a few times and soundly by teams they shouldn't have. Remember when the Raiders
They
beat
lost
them
twice.
at Kansas City?
Phil, that was the only real loss of the season.
Just listen.
The last loss was against the Chargers because they had their fourth string in. They had their practice squad in.
Do your talking. Do your yakking. Okay? We'll be back here in the future. You know what I mean?
So you got Browns +10.
I'm going to take the
All
Browns.
right. And Bucks, Saints, New Orleans is a 3-point favorite.
I'm going to take the points there because I think those two
I agree.
teams are very close to each
I'll
other.
take the Saints.
So I'm just going to
Saints.
go the safe route.
Matt?
I think Saints.
All right, Linz, Buccaneers versus the Saints. Tom Brady versus Drew Brees.
I don't know anything about either of those. I'll do the opposite of what Phil's doing because he loses
smart
a lot.
So you've
play.
got
Well, you
Buccaneers.
can go with the
Smart play.
who the what their teams are. You can pick a Saint or a Buccaneer. Who's
No, there's
tougher?
a reason why I am 7-3, and it's because I go against what Phil says.
There you go. Write them down. All right,
I
so
don't
real
think
quick.
Phil's too,
Never
far
listen to
afield.
the guy in the Sears suit.
I don't
He's
think
2
I've
out of
always
8
said
or
that.
2
I don't think you're too far afield with these picks. 10 points is a lot, but I mean, can Cleveland stop Mahomes? I don't know.
No way.
I mean,
Tyreek Hill.
did you
Dude, that guy
see?
is-
No way.
I mean, Roethlisberger's kind of past his due date. I mean,
He was
could
picking them
move
apart.
back.
Yeah, and he's still
Yes.
picking them apart.
He could move back there, and then once he figured out maybe I should throw it a little higher, and they'll stop blocking it. And then he starts scoring a bunch of touchdowns, and just
When you have a guy named Juju,
Yeah.
just throw it up there.
Yeah,
and
he's gonna get it.
He's going to get it.
Well, I tell you what,
So-
I was on the ropes from my legal betting this weekend until I went to an alternative strategy for the last game and just started
Just live betting, run or
pass. No, almost as bad.
No.
Field goal. No, I picked who would score a touchdown in the game. So I had 2-3 men parlays of people who would score, and I'm
Lo and
thinking,
behold.
both of them hit because who'd have thought
Comeback trail.
those two crap teams were going to score 75 points. So everybody on the team who touched the ball on offense throughout the year scored a touchdown. So I was like, wow.
All right, so before we sign off, real quick, we're going to go around the table. Super Bowl matchup. What is it?
Man, I'm going Ravens-Packers.
At least you didn't pick two teams from the same conference.
No, I don't. That wouldn't be an issue for me.
I know
Kevin.
this is easy, but I'm going Packers-Chiefs. It's simple. It's the easy
You're
pick.
just
but I think
picking the
that's it.
favorites.
I think
That's
that's what's going to
all.
happen.
I think you're right. I'm going to go that. Packers, Chiefs.
I'm going with Phil, actually. believe it or not.
Ravens.
Yeah.
So Ravens get by not only this week against the Bills, but also the Chiefs. All right.
Which is, we're going. You know what, Kevin? We're taking a chance. Unlike certain people, they're just,
Good way to lose money.
well,
You're right. The
Depends what the
conservative
spread is.
choice is Packers-Chiefs. Fine.
yes, absolutely. You're
You
just
don't think the
picking-
Saints have a chance?
They do. I think they do have a chance against the Packers.
Well, Kevin, that fits in
Absolutely.
your profile according to your psychological review you guys had on the air. That the safe bet is what Kevin's going to do.
I will say
What's
I'm with
minus 10,000 this week? That's what I want to take.
There you go.
I'm with John Bodich in the chat. He said, "Finally, something interesting. Football."
Wow.
Hey,
Isn't
speaking
the
of-
politics?
hey,
No, I mean,
by
isn't
the way,
politics just
John Bodich, retired Chicago police officer. Thank you, John,
Whoa.
for your service.
We're called left of center. You got to expect politics.
So speaking of football, tip of the cap to the king of the evil empire, Bill Belichick himself, telling Trump to pound
back to
sand.
Nice
politics.
Croatian boy.
You took John Bodich's
Decide-
thing
Speaking of Croatians,
took
John
it back into
Bodich.
politics.
right back. You said, John, you're right about this football thing,
That's
and that's
enough.
why Belichick
Speaking
not
of
taking the
football.
medal
Of honor.
of freedom.
I found
or
that
honor.
to be unbelievable.
Good for-
and
good for
good
Bill
good for
Belichick.
good for the coach.
Weren't they
He's
like
got
buddies?
scruples. Not about deflated footballs.
No.
Not
About
about filming
important shit.
Yeah, but about,
I mean, when it's really important. I mean, he'll cheat to win football, but he's got to draw the line.
No, when
All
you
right.
when you've got Belichick, when you got a football coach not taking the medal, you might have a PR problem if you're Trump. I mean, at that point, it's
you would
like,
think. Well, he also is a coach up in Massachusetts, so you got to remember that.
yeah.
All right. Well, listen, we got to wrap it up. Matt, thanks for coming in.
Oh, cheers. Always a good time.
We appreciate you being available. Say hi tomorrow. Obviously,
Will do.
Phil, thank you for being co-host today. Appreciate it. You're in the Locomotive's chair. We'll see what he thinks about that when he comes back on Friday. Lindsay, always a pleasure. Thank you for making sure that you will beat Phil this weekend. And John, of course,
wrote 'em all
your
down.
perspective is always welcome. I didn't say appreciate it, just welcome.
I'm gonna.
This is Left
He
of
chose
Center.
that word wisely.
Good idea. Ramp the song up. This is Left of Center. We'll see you on Friday.